Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be all about the Daisy Lane, which is going to be retiring after being in the catalog for 2 years. So today I'm going to show you how to make 3 really cute and pretty easy cards, plus a bonus card at the end. So make sure to stick around until the end so you can see what the bonus card is. So why don't we get right to it? So here are the 3 cards that I'm going to feature today. All 3 of them made with the Daisy Lane punches. I'm actually not going to use the stamp set, and I'll show you the stamp set so you know which one I'm referring to. And this is the stamp set that is going to be retiring, and it's been around for 2 years. The large daisy punch that coordinates with it is also going to be retiring. But the medium daisy punch is going to be sticking around because a new stamp set is going to be released in the new catalog that has a daisy image that matches with this punch. So let me start the tutorial, and I'm going to set these 2 aside, and we're going to start with this one, which is got a half card front. So I'm going to just jump right in and show you how to do this one. I'll set it off to the side. So I put everything in a little cello bag so I would not misplace everything when I went to make the card for you. And I'd be interested while we're doing this if you could leave me a comment below just telling me, like, what's your favorite flowers? I mean, I love the Daisy Lane stamp set because it reminds, well, obviously it's got daisies in it, and it was, my mother loved margarita daisies. Those are the Shasta daisies, which have a thick stalk and they're more sturdy. But then there's the margarita daisies, which are, they're more delicate, and those are the ones that she loved. So I'd be interested to know what kind of flowers you particularly like. All right, so what we're going to start with is the card base, which is Balmy Blue, and you're going to cut it at 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to score it at 5 1/2. So we're going to make it into, you know, a sideways card. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the half card. So this is, we're going to take the 4-inch side. Ooh, hold on, I'm flicking my supplies around. All right, so you're going to take, you're going to put it in lengthwise, and you're going to put it in at 2 inches, right? And all you're going to do, oops, let me lift this up. Push this up. And all you're going to do is you're going to cut it only down to the score line. Let's see if I can do this without cutting down. Okay. All right, so you can see it's just cut to the score line, right? Okay. And then, so now you have, you know, 2 flaps. Well, we're not going to need the top flap. So you're just going to put it in this way, and you're going to, now I suppose you could flap over this piece, just make sure you don't cut through that, and just, let me push this up, and there you go. And then you have your flap, right? So actually not too difficult. All right, you set that aside. All right, so the bottom is, I don't know if you can see it. Let me push it up close so you can see, is embossed, and I embossed it with the checks and dots embossing folders, which you get. These are the mini ones. So they work great in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine too. So you get one that's checks and one that is dots. So for this one, we're going to actually use both of them. And I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to go through the embossing part. You don't need to see me embossing anything. But you will just take the embossing folder, put it over your, now what I do is I open it rather than doing it this way, and because what happens is it kind of doesn't go all the way when you fold it. I like to open it up and give it and push it a little bit more so I go all the way to the crease before I run it through my embossing folder. I mean my embossing machine. And remember, if you're new at this, when you're embossing, make sure to put the fold into the machine this way so that it runs through that way rather than the opening. And you'll get a nice, good embossed image. So I have already done that, and I have this piece right here that's already been embossed. So there we have that piece. All right, and then the next layer that we have is on the inside. Remove that off. And this piece is just a piece of basic white cardstock cut at you want to cut it 1/4 of an inch. I got some edges on this thing. 5 1/4 by 4. Typically, you cut 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And this one I embossed with the dots embossing folder. Now, want to point one thing out. I don't know if it's visible. You can probably see it. I think you probably can. It's all embossed except for the very bottom. And there's a reason for that, because the embossing folder doesn't cover the entire piece of cardstock. So what you end up with is a piece at the bottom that's not embossed. Now you can do one of two things, and I'll show you what I did. I left it that way because I'm going to put a strip of hand penned petals designer series paper across it so you can't see it. So that's one strategy. If you just want to just emboss what you can emboss and leave the bottom and just cover it with a piece of designer series paper, that's one thing. The other thing that you could do is, once you have embossed it and you want to emboss the rest of it, then what you can do is line up the dots that have already been embossed. Just line those dots up with what's on the paper and then run it through the machine again, and then you will get a couple of lines of embossed dots. So that's just another way of doing it if you wanted the dots to be all the way down to the bottom. So as I said, I'm just leaving this just because I want to just show you, in case you don't feel comfortable doing that. There's a fix to it. So we'll put that in here, and I'm not going to tack it down. Well, maybe, yeah, I'm not going to tack it down quite yet. We can put this together in a minute, but that's how it's going to go. All right. And now what I did next was to, misplace everything. That's what I did next. Nope, got them right here. All right, so I took some balmy blue and I punched out a bunch of the, with the medium daisy punch, I punched out 6 of these daisies. Now, what I am going to do is use my glue dots to adhere them together. And I love these glue dots. These are great. Makes it just so much easier. So I'm going to glue 2 of them, adhere 2 of them together. So we'll have 3 daisies across the front. So what you'll do is, when you put them together, you'll line them up so that the petals go in between each other. All right, there's one. This is just a super easy process. Again, you just line it up so that the petals are in between each other. And glue dots just make this so much easier and cleaner. You don't have to worry about liquid glue being messy or anything like that. Okay, so we have the 3, and now we can line them up. Let me push this up so you can see, and we will have them right about there. And then for the for the leaves on the first card that I made, I used the sprig punch, but of course I can't find it. I don't know where I put it. And then I cut the pieces off of it and attached it. But then I remembered the Forever Fern dies out of the Forever Fern stamp set, and I thought those would be a better option. So I die cut 3 of these particular leaves, and I'm just going to cut them in half. Turn it over. Oops. Okay. Now, and then for the flower centers, I had a very small, let's see, this is 3/8 of an inch circle punch. And I just took some Daffodil Delight or So Saffron, I don't remember which it is, and I just cut out some centers. Now, that's not absolutely essential because I have this other card that I'll be showing you, and I didn't do the yellow centers, I just put gem dots in the middle. So you don't need to do the circles if you don't have a punch or you don't have the inclination to do it. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the glue dots and tack down the daisies to the card. So usually when I'm doing my paper crafting, I use a lot of liquid glue, but there are times when the glue dots just make so much more sense. And they're especially fun and easy if you're crafting with kids, because you don't want to end up having a big mess. You just want to have them have a good time. So there are times when it just makes it so much easier for them to use the glue dots. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the yellow centers again, just with some glue dots. And the last one. Okay. And for the gem dots, I'm just using the Rhinestone Waves Basic Jewels that came with that specialty offering that was, with the wave stamp set. Oh, hey, I just want to show you this. This is, these pencil cases you can get at the dollar store, right? And I put my take a pick tool in them. And that's how I store it. Now, when you get if you order it, what you get it a plastic case, right? in order to fit into the dollar store case, you're going to have to cut off, you have to trim both ends of it just with some scissors, right? Just trim it off. And then when you do that, it's going to fit really, really nicely right into your $1 pencil case. It's a great way to store it, not have all the pieces flying around. Just want to give you that tip. All right, so I'm just going to take a few of the little gem dots. Let's see. Okay. And put them right in the center. Okay. All right, now what we'll just do is, now is when I think I am going to use my glue just to attach some of the leaves. Now this is where you would just, you know, decide how you want to tuck them underneath the flower. So let's just do that. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom because obviously the top part of it is going to be sticking up and you don't want to put glue on the top part, just on the bottom. And then you can just tuck it underneath the flower wherever you want. Again, I'm going to just dab a little bit. Again, just push it right under your flower wherever you want it. Okay. Oop. Kind of put them in you know, opposite directions just to make it look more real, like it would in nature. Let's see, do I want it to go? Yeah, I think I'm going to make it go that way. Okay. Now I'm going to tack down the inside piece with some liquid glue. Oh, let me see, didn't get any on the edge. Okay, oops. And I like the liquid glue because it does have a little bit of forgiveness for a few seconds before it ends up being permanently adhered to the paper. Okay, and now obviously you can see I have that space on the bottom. So that I measured out to be 5 1/4 because I just wanted to cover the white piece, which is 5 1/4 by 3/4 inch. So it'll go on, you know, just like that and cover that piece. So we'll tack that down. Okay. Now, as far as the sentiment is concerned, happy birthday is what I used. And I used the happy birthday from the Flowing Flowers, this sentiment right here, because I wanted it to go across. But just to show you, there are birthday sentiments on tons of others. There's a happy birthday in this Enjoy the Moment stamp set. There's art in the Artistically Inked. There's a lovely happy birthday sentiment. Also in the Days to Remember, another happy birthday. Let's see, there, oh yeah, and this one is the Celebrating You. I like this stamp set. It's got a lot of really good sentiments, but it has a happy birthday right there. So there's, you have, and there's, I know there's more. These just happen to be the ones that I grabbed quickly. So we're going to, I'm going to again use the happy birthday. There it is right there. Pull that out. And okay. And I have my Balmy Blue ink right here. Oops. All right. And I have a piece of white cardstock that I didn't measure out at all. I just grabbed a piece of scrap and I'll measure it out. I'll cut it down to size as I need it. So let me just, okay. Oh, that came out pretty good. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is just my strategy for not having to measure certain things out, just stamping it and then trim it down. Now you could certainly flag these, you know, flag this one if you wanted to. I've done that. Okay, there's that. I'm going to trim just a teensy bit off that other end. And the top and the bottom. See how that looks. Sometimes, you know, if I cut a piece first and then stamp on it, you know, I don't feel like I have enough room, so I sometimes just stamp it first and then then mount it onto a piece of scrap. So hold on. So now I just grabbed a piece of scrap, Balmy Blue, and I'm going to just adhere that onto it. Excuse me. With a little border all the way around it. And then again, all I'm going to do is just put it into my paper trimmer. It's probably a better way to do this, but it's just how I do it. And there we go. Now, I'm going to use some dimensionals. And let's see, what do I have for dimensionals? My dimensionals, I'm getting very low on them. So, oh, let's see. I might have an extra pack. Oh, look what I found. If you dig around in your little drawer enough, you find stuff at the bottom. Okay, so fresh sheet of dimensionals. Okay. You know what I've been noticing lately on these dimensionals? I don't know. Maybe it's just me and the way I'm taking them off. Sometimes they stick to the bottom and you end up getting a little bit of the paper on the bottom as well. So I have to peel that off. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay. And we'll just put this right at the top. And you're done. So there it is. So pretty. Whoops, let me get that off of there. So pretty, and I think it's pretty easy to make. Nice, right? Okay, so we'll set that aside, and we will tackle the next one, this one. So this one is actually similar in some ways to the first one, because we are going to also be embossing the cardstock. We're going to emboss this top layer, and we're going to emboss this strip right here in the exact same way that we did with the first card. So we're going to start with a piece of basic white as the card base, and we're going to do this in a landscape style. Fix this in a landscape style. So this is going to be, you're going to cut this typical way. You're going to cut it at 5.5 by 11, and you're going to then 5.5 by 8.5, sorry, and then you're going to score it at 4 1/4, and then you're going to turn it. We're going to use it as the card base. Then you're going to need a piece of balmy blue cut a 1/4 inch smaller all around, so you'll cut it at 5 1/4 by 4. So that'll be on the top. And then we're going to need a piece of white, again, basic white cardstock, and I've already embossed this piece, but this piece would be cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4. Now, then you will emboss this with the dots embossing folder, just as you did with the first card. And then what I ended up doing, because at the bottom I had like half dots, and I didn't like the way it looked, so all I did was put it in my paper trimmer, and I just trimmed it all around the edges until I liked the way it looked. So if that's what you get, if you get all half dots and you don't want that, you just cut them off. All right, so then we would put that on top and layer it just like that, right? And that's what we will do. And then you will get a piece of balmy blue cardstock, just a strip of it, and you're going to cut it at 5.5 by 1 1/4, and you're going to emboss it with the dots embossing folder, and that piece will go straight across the middle, right? Straight across, all like I did here, all the way across from edge to edge. You will also punch out 6 white daisies with the medium punch. And then we will lastly, and we'll use these gem dots again, as we did with the first card. And then we will put our sentiment. So, okay. Why don't we, just for the sake of, let's just start tacking down some of the layers, and that will bring us to putting the, tacking the daisies together. This should come together pretty quickly. Okay. I'll move these daisies out of the way. Okay. All right, and now we will tack down the embossed layer. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting my camera. Okay. All right, and then we can also tack down the embossed strip. Okay. Now we can go back to our glue dots and glue these daisies together like we did for the first one. You're just going to glue 2 together. This is just like the simplest. Okay, last one. All right, and we'll might as well just tack them down right onto the card. Oops. I don't know where you all live and if you've been already out gardening. I live just north of Boston, and so the ground is still too cold to put the plants down and the annuals, but I mean my perennials are coming up like crazy. And spring is always a funny time for me because as the plants come up, I'm never sure what's going to come back and what's going to decide it's decided not to come back. And then you get to see what things come back and like a little too much. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that's coming up. I mean, the coneflowers, the poppies are starting to come up, the sedum, chamomile is coming up, even though I thought I tore it all up. It was getting aggravating last year, but I'm going to let it come back and dry it. That is about the easiest thing to do with chamomile. You just take the flowers off, put them in a dish, let it dry, and then steep it in your tea. And I got to tell you, the chamomile from your garden is so delicious. Anyway, I got a whole bunch of things growing out there. It's crazy. And I love it. Personally, I love it. I love my zinnias. They're such a butterfly magnet. What did I do with my little take a pick tool? Okay, well, I'll use, I put it aside. Now I don't know what I do with it. Yeah, my zinnias are big butterfly magnets, and bees, and the coneflowers are too. It's like the most amazing thing. Let's see, do I have the right size? Yeah. Okay. I just like these colors. They're very soothing. All right, so for the sentiment, the sentiment I took, which says, may your day be filled with sunshine, right? And celebrate with flowers has that sentiment, and here's the stamp. But for this original card, I just wanted it to go across the top, so all I did was type it into my computer and printed it out on copy paper, and then mounted it. So I've said this in my previous video, that if you don't see a sentiment that you like in any of these stamp sets, or if it just doesn't say exactly what you want, or if you know exactly what you want and it's not in a stamp set, type it on your computer and just print it out. That's what I've done with a bunch of my cards, and I just, I find some really funny sayings, or, you know, some really thoughtful sayings, print them, just type them on your computer and print them out. Don't feel like you need to be limited by the sentiments in the stamp sets, because you're not. Okay. But for this one, I'm just going to use this the way it is. All right, so let's see if I can. I'm going to stamp it in some balmy blue. Let me set this aside. All right. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just cut around it. I'm going to just fussy cut it. I don't know. I'll see how this looks. If I don't like it, I'll just do it over, right? Okay, set that aside. Now, I'm not going to mount it on any blue cardstock because it's going to end up taking up more room than I really want it to. So I'm just going to mount it with white, and it'll be kind of a really clean looking card, being mostly white. Okay, and I'll put one more. All right. All right. Let's see, where do we want it? There. I don't know, we could put it down there, but somehow I just feel like it should be up here. Not a whole lot of room, but I still like it up there. There we go. Doesn't that come out nice? Now, I'm not going to do the inside, but I'll show you what I did on the inside for my, whoops, let me put that over there, for the other card. Now, what I did was I took this stamp set that had the May Your Day Be Filled with Sunshine, the Celebrate with Flowers, and I stamped the leaves and just up here, and then I took this little flower. Now, I stamped it in blue to keep with the theme of the card, but you could certainly, you know, if you ended up making your daisies yellow, then you could make your little daisies on the inside yellow. So that's all I did. And I didn't stamp a sentiment because there are times when we want to put just our own thoughts on the card. And because of the fact that the sentiment on the outside is May Your Day Be Filled with Sunshine, it could be a card for anything. It could be a birthday card. It could be a just thinking of you card. So it really is probably best just to leave it, for me anyway, just leave it blank on the inside, so I can just write whatever I want depending on the reason I want to send it out. So that is card number 2. So card number 3 is this card. So rather than making this into a long video, I'm going to just tell you how I put this together. Obviously, the card base is black with a white layer cut at 1/4 inch smaller at 5 1/4 by 4. And then this black and white checked paper was from the Pattern Play pack of, my God, I think you got like 48 pieces of 12 by 12 designer series paper, and one of them was this you got 2 sheets of this black and white checked paper. But honestly, you know, whatever, there are some other black and white designer series paper in the catalog, so with flowers, etc. So what I did for the stem, which I thought was really cute, was I used these sentimental swirls. So all I did was just, you know, stamped it so that became. Now what I did was I masked off this bottom piece because I didn't want a big giant old piece. Or actually, did I? Or maybe I did it at the top. Now I can't remember. No, I definitely masked it off. So I masked it off at the bottom, and I only stamped this piece. So you can see that, right? Swirled it. Then I used in this particular case, I used the large daisy punched out 2, but what I did was I stamped it first. So I stamped it 2 pieces using this so I could get the image, and you can see the image. It makes it more vibrant, I think. So I stamped 2 pieces and then used the large daisy punch to punch them out. And then I stuck them together. Before I adhered it to the card though, I snipped off 2 layers, the upper piece and the underneath piece that matched underneath it. And then I took one petal, glued it below like a falling petal, and this could be a great card for a sympathy card or someone who is ill. But this was the Eden's Garden that says sending hugs. My heart is tied to yours. Tug if you need anything. I love that sentiment. And then on the inside, the sentiment I used for the inside was from Elegantly Said. And it says, life has changed for you, but my love and support never will. I mean, sometimes you have to rummage around and through your stamp sets and see which one matches the sentiment on the outside, because the Eden's Garden, when I did the sending hugs, my heart is tied to yours, there's really nothing else in this stamp set that would match the inside. Like, what am I supposed to say? Dear friend, how are you? I guess I could. Maybe I could have put the dear friend, how are you on the outside, and then the sending hugs, my heart is tied to yours on the inside. But if you're sending it to somebody because they're struggling with something, saying, dear friend, how are you? You already know how they are, and they're not doing too good. So if that sentiment fits, use it. If it doesn't, mix and match, which I'm sure you probably already do that anyway, but just for beginners out there who don't know, you're not stuck to using one single stamp set. Just rummage through everything and mix and match. So that's how I did this particular one. And I thought that was a great idea for just a little, like a teardrop falling almost, doesn't it? All right, so lastly, and if you stuck around with me, I appreciate that. You're so wonderful. I wish we could be sitting together at the table here and having a cup of tea. This is my bonus card that I also put together, but this one was using the Pansy Petals designer series paper. And all I did was cut a piece of the paper at 5 1/4. That's this paper, because the card base, you can pretty much use whatever color you want, and that's a standard card base. For the designer series paper, typically you just cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And then, all right, so then it's pretty easy to cut it, but you'll need to cut it 2 different pieces. Because let's say, I'll show you, let's see, is this gonna, all right. So when you go to cut it, let's see, how am I doing this? Oh yeah, so when you go to cut it, when you cut it in half diagonally, right, you're gonna end up with 2 pieces. This piece and then this piece. But this piece obviously, oh no, let's see, wait, let me just, I got it, I had the wrong piece. So you end up with 2 pieces. Now, you can most certainly like separate them and use both pieces And when you separate them, you end up with a little strip of the cardstock showing through, but it looks really cute. It has a really nice effect, and you can put more embellishments on the front of the card. Super cute. On the back of this one is, you know, a different design. But when you cut it diagonally, you can't use this other reverse side because it doesn't fit, right? It just doesn't fit. So you end up having to cut a different piece if you want that. So let me show you how this is done. All right, so this is just a piece of 6 by 6. So I need to cut this, the width of it, and if you have a designer series paper that has a design that goes in a particular direction, you have to make sure that, you know, you're cutting it so that when you put it on the paper, it's the right direction. All right, so my width is going to be 4 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 4. Oops. And I'm going to cut the length of it at 5 1/4. Okay. So cutting it at a, you know, when you want to cut it for an angle, you have to decide which is the way you want to cut it. Do you want it this way? Or did you maybe want it to go, you know, did you want it to go up here instead and put a different one down there? You could certainly do that. So if you want to do it the way I did it, so you obviously want your angle to be this way, right? You want the tip of it to be here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to turn it to the, so here's your card, you're going to turn it to the right, and you're going to put your point in the cutting channel, and you're going to put your other point at the bottom. Let me move this up. So you have the tip here, and then you turn it so that the other point is in the cutting channel. So once they're both lined up, do I have them lined up? Let me move it just a slightly. Yep. Okay. You cut it, and now you have 2 triangles. And like I said, there's this that would go just like that. Now, like I said, you can't match up the equivalent other side because it doesn't match. So you would have to grab another piece. But yeah. So that's how you would do it. And then when you cut the other piece, you will, let's see if I can, these 2 pieces, right? So I'll put these 2 pieces, these are 2 cut pieces, but when you go to cut it, in the other one, you turned it to the right, you will turn it to the left and cut the left corner and top and bottom, right? And you would do it that way. Yeah. So that's how you would do it, and you'll end up getting your 2 pieces, top and bottom. And the sentiment I used was one that I downloaded on the internet, and it says, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant." And it's a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson. I love that, because sometimes we engage in something new. And for me, that's been doing these videos. And if we don't see results immediately, we sometimes feel like we haven't been successful. So whatever it is that you're doing, give it time. And as long as you've planted the seeds, something will grow. So don't judge each of your days by the harvest you have at that time, because don't laugh at small beginnings. That's where everybody has to start. If you've planted the seeds, then you are ahead of many other people who haven't even bothered to try. You showed up. You're showing up every day. And I just want to say thank you. And let me switch back over to, let's see. Here we are. I just want to say hi again. So I want to say thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. I appreciate you stopping by today, and I want to wish you a happy stamping day. If you like my videos, then can I please ask you to, to smash the like button and to subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I so appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.